Hello and welcome to another episode of our new series, Let's Talk Transfers and Football Talk podcast. My name is Ozzie and I'm joined with a special guest here, Toni from Undiluted Media. Toni, how's it going?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm sure you're a happy United fan with like lots of transfer confirmations and rumors of new players joining in, which we will speak in more detail as well. So I'm sure you're very happy about that.
Very well, very. Can't wait to get started. Looking forward to the season for the first time in like a good couple of years, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, let's talk about last season actually. So before we delve into the transfers quite heavily, we can speak about last season. Would you regard last season as a success, considering Liverpool were only 5 points behind, and I think Man City had a big kind of gap in terms of the actual completion of the league?
No, I wouldn't regard last season as success because we didn't win anything. And success only comes through winning. We were one penalty kick or one David De Gea penalty kick away from success. So I'm not going to take a lot away from Man United.
Yeah.
When you said like 5 points, I know people like to say we were 5 points away from Liverpool, but we've got to remember, as much as Liverpool had a bad season, United took their foot off the pedal
towards the second half, definitely.
Yeah, and especially when we were in the Europa League final, we took our foot off the pedal. We had to play because of the Glazer protest. We had to play like 3 games in a week. So we did like points wise and staying 5 points away from Liverpool. That doesn't really. When we were playing for the Premier League or playing like to win Premier League games, Liverpool were nowhere to be seen. So saying that we were 5, like you guys had a good form in the end of the season, but I don't really look at that and be like, oh, we were only 5 points away from a crap Liverpool team. Like we were still playing for you throughout the season. We had bigger fish to fry, in which we didn't fry in the end. So I don't see it as a success. We got to a final. Finally, we got over the semi-final curse or whatever, but we still didn't win anything. So there's still much that we can improve on.
Definitely. No, I get your point about the whole Liverpool United thing because I was quite vocal around probably March that I didn't think Liverpool would even go near the top 4. So for us to finish third was just like a big achievement, if I'm brutally honest with you. And obviously it looks nicer on paper in terms of that, we were 5 points away. But when you put it into context, United did drop off. We just had an amazing run where we won 8 out of 10 games. So that led to us to be in third position. But let's focus on Man United today. So Ole, he'll be at the wheel for a little bit longer now. What are your thoughts on him signing a new contract extension?
In contrary to some United fans, I'm quite happy with it. Only because I want to let him, it's a process. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day. And I watch a lot of American sports, right? And we've only been using this term rebuild recently in English sports, in football. So when you have like a rebuild in an American football team or a basketball team, it takes years. Like I'm a Brooklyn Nets fan. We went through a rebuild. We tried to win it all. Long story short, we tried to win it all in 2013, and we went through a rebuild. And we've only started. This rebuild is only starting to come into fruition now. And we're in 2021. So rebuilds take ages. Rome wasn't built in a day. So I am like, I know the criticism of him, and I agree with some of the criticisms of him. But I'm looking at what he's achieved so far, squad wise. And if you look at our squad, a lot of the deadwood he's got rid of in our squad, and look at the people we're bringing in.
Yeah,
like the squad's only getting better. For the first time, I'm looking at this United squad, and I think this is one of the best squads I've seen in a long time. So I've got to give him his credit. Like, I've got to give credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
Are there better managers out there? 100%. But at the same time, you've got to give credit where credit's due. I feel like if we're one missing piece away from challenging and competing. If we get that missing piece, if we solve that DM issue, and we're still in this kind of, is he the right guy for the job? Then he can go. Then I won't cry. I won't cry for him. But right now, I'm sticking with him, and I feel like I'm happy that he's signed a new deal.
Well, I think with the new sort of acquisitions as well, I think there'll be huge pressure on Ole this season in particular. So if, for example, he wasn't able to win a trophy or at least cement a close challenge for the title, I think his position might be in jeopardy, I think, this time next year. So it is interesting. I've heard sort of a mixed reaction. I think some people are actually ecstatic that he's signed the contract extension, but I think it's more to do with the players that you're linked with and the players that are potentially coming in. So I think that's more of the excitement rather than the actual managers receiving a new contract. So we can talk about the squad in more detail now. So we'll go into like each department of the football squad and kind of review it. So goalkeepers. Big question I'd like to ask you is De Gea. Is he still number one? Or do you feel like Henderson should be given a chance to take that position?
I personally believe if I was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I still think De Gea is our number one. Only because where we've had this guy got into the Premier League team in the season 5 times in a row. He was our best player for 5 years, right? And I know he's not the same David De Gea we once seen, and he's made a lot of mistakes recently in comparison to what he used to. But I still haven't seen enough from Dean Henderson for him to be solely Man United's number one.
Yeah,
I don't think Dean Henderson's a bad player, and he's the guy my age. He's like 23. He's got time in his hands.
good time.
So there's no rush. I know he's confident in his ability, but there's no rush right now. And if De Gea wants to stay, why not? Now that we actually have a 30 back line for the first time in how long?
Yeah,
De Gea doesn't have to do much now, and he personally, I think he's still our number one. Not to say Dean Henderson's going to take over, and I feel like maybe even if it is one more year, Dean Henderson will take over. But right now, it's good because I like the fact that if De Gea messes up, Dean Henderson's right there. Fine. It's good to have healthy competition.
I think, speaking as a neutral, I think that does make sense. I think for me, De Gea is still a top quality goalkeeper. I know he has made more sort of individual areas in the past 2-3 years, I'd say, because there was a phase where he was literally unbelievable. Like he'd make saves out of the bag where you wouldn't expect a goalkeeper to do. So for me, I still think he's a top goalkeeper. Henderson, I think he is sort of the next in line. But like you said, he's still young. He still has time to kind of grow. But also learning alongside a top goalkeeper like De Gea will only do well for his own development going down the line. So I kind of co-sign with what you've said there. What about the signing of Heaton as your first choice goalkeeper? Is that a good appointment in replacing Romero in the squad?
I don't see why not. I know Romero can still, once Romero still has a career, he still has another move in him, Romero. So, and it was sad to see him leave because he was a really good backup, but it just didn't work out that Henderson came back in and we went for the younger guy and Romero wanted to leave. But I'm glad Romero's gone now. He can go play the football he wants. Heaton's a good signing, because, one of us, I guess, that he grew up in the academy, never played for United, but always seemed to have monster games against United. So it's now, again, competition. I don't think he's here to put pressure on De Gea and Henderson. But, it was a cheeky FA Cup, a cheeky Carling Cup appearance. He'll get 1 or 2 appearances. I don't see anything wrong with it. And looking at him in pre-season now, he's made a couple of saves. I'm thinking, he's still there. Tommy Eaton was a very good keeper for Burnley before Nick Pope came.
Yeah.
And he's 35. He doesn't mind sitting on the bench. He's playing at Man United, the club that he started off. There's nothing wrong with it. There's more pros than cons to it. Yeah,
I think I agree with that as well. I think if you review the 3 goalkeepers, you've got a good level of youngster, like the young player in Henderson, but you've got an experienced goalkeeper in Heaton who, like you said, never really made at Manchester United, but knows the club really well, knows the area, so he's not going to take time to settle in or anything. And you've got De Gea as well, so it's a good balance in terms of the goalkeeping department there. We can move on to the defense now. So Varane, I'm not sure if there's been any sort of official confirmation, but yesterday...
so officially United have tweeted now that we've got an agreement in principle for Varane. So you'll see him in a United shirt next season. It's done now.
Okay. So I can say it's pretty much a done deal now. So how much do you rate Varane? Because I don't know if you've heard this kind of perception, but it sounds a bit rude, but people call him a fraud because he used to play alongside Sergio Ramos. So they used to think that Ramos was actually the main guy. Whereas Varane would be, if Ramos wasn't playing alongside him, he wouldn't produce that same kind of level of performances. How much do you rate Varane? And do you believe this is the right signing for the club?
I've loved Varane. I've wanted Varane since way before he was 28 years old.
You were linked with him when he was younger.
We were linked with him when he was younger. I wanted him then. So now he went to Real Madrid, decided to win 4 Champions Leagues, all the pedigree, a World Cup and everything. I rate him highly. I feel like this is a perfect signing. Maybe 1 or 2 years too late, but that's only because I would want him for years to come. But still, he's only 28. He's the same age as Maguire. I feel like this is what Maguire needed, because when Maguire got injured, everyone's still skeptical over Harry Maguire, but I feel like that skepticism is now gone. Yeah. Especially with the performance he had during the Euros. He's had another good European tournament for England. And you can see with United's defence, especially when Liverpool played us at Old Trafford last season, you can see our defence without Maguire. It looks very shaky.
Yeah.
And that time that Maguire got injured, our defence looked very shaky. Mm-hmm. And then he comes off a boot to put that performance in England for the Euros. I'm starting to rate this guy now. So if he's playing like that next to John Stones, imagine what he can do next to someone that's won four Champions Leagues by like the age of 24.
Yeah.
And what it does, Varane brings experience in high-level games as well to Maguire, because Maguire is good enough, but he hasn't had that many high-level experiences. He hasn't played that many Champions League games. He hasn't won that many trophies. I don't think he's won a trophy. So someone with that type of caliber, looking at it right now, Varane and Maguire, that's been our best centre-back partnership since Ferdinand Vidic. Two very, very good centre-backs right now. And for the first time ever, I'm looking at that back line, and I think this is a very solid back line, a nice foundation to start.
No, by the way, I'm not one of those people that think Varane is a fraud. I'm a big fan of his as well. And
okay, I was going to say, whoever those people, who are those people?
No, I've seen it all over like Twitter, for example, especially like in the last couple of months where Varane was linked with Liverpool, for example, and he was linked with other teams in Europe. And then people just didn't give him the respect. They were like, oh, he's only done well because he had a top-class defender alongside him. But whenever I've seen him play for France, for example, he's still elite in that team as well. So for me, I've rated him for a long time. As a Liverpool fan, it hurts that you've signed a top-quality centre-back. I would personally, I'm still happy with that.
No?
Huh?
What about Konate? Is that not top quality?
No. I'll be honest with you. Konate, for me, is the perfect profile of a player that we wanted. So we wanted someone that was young, up and coming, and had the potential to be a top class defender. Varane, I think, would have been great. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like I think for United needed that sort of elite defender in their team, and I think he was a perfect target. And with his contract situation at Real Madrid, I think this was the perfect time for you guys to get him at sort of a lesser fee, for example. And alongside Maguire, so that experience will be very vital, especially going into the Champions League, where at that stage, when you prolong your success in the competition, you do need that experience, that winning mentality, which he brings to the team. So, you know, I'm being a neutral here. So as much as it hurts to say, I think it's a top signing. I can't say anything else other than that, to be fair. So another area that you guys have been linked with is a right back position. So Kieran Trippier has been the one that seems to be the guy that you're going for. Is he the right sort of profile player that you'd want at the club, or personally, do you see another right back where you're like, do you know what, I'd love United to go for him instead?
Not at all. I feel like our right back problem is in-house, and we can solve it with Diogo Dalot. And right now, I'm kind of happy that the Trippier rumours have died down a bit, and Diogo Dalot returned back to training. He returned back on Monday. Okay. So I'm kind of happy because he's not a bad signing. Diogo Dalot was not a bad signing, and he's not bad. And what he could, apparently Oli doesn't like him because he can't defend. I'm not sure. I don't know. But he's good at going forward. And especially in the way the modern day football is played, you need your fullback to be good at going forward. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is the best in it. He's improved, but he's not the best. And Dalot had a very good tournament with the under 21s in Portugal, and then got called up to play important games for Portugal. And Cancelo, because obviously they rate him. So if this guy's playing for Portugal national team, I don't see why he can't be back up to Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and then we need to go spend 20-30 million on a player that is that's still going to be back up to Wan-Bissaka. I don't like the Trippier. It made no sense to me whatsoever. I'm not saying Trippier is not a bad player, but we just don't need to spend money in that department. So right back wise, I'm looking at a team. If we have two right backs, Wan-Bissaka and Dalot, I'm fine. I'm fine with that at all. Brandon Williams can go on loan to Southampton, get him some more game time. That's totally fine.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because you've got quite a few fullbacks in the squad. So you've got Williams as well playing at left back. Tellez has been linked with a number of moves, but I heard today that he's injured up till September.
Yeah,
So I don't think he'll be
and I
able
don't
to
think he's
at this
leaving.
stage.
Yeah, I don't think he's leaving anyway.
And a good thing with Diallo as well, that he can actually play left back.
Exactly,
So
he
he's
played
quite
left back a
versatile.
lot for AC Milan. Even
Yeah.
when he played against us in the Europa League, he played left back for AC Milan. So that's what I'm saying. The fact that he had a good loan at AC Milan and AC Milan want him back, I don't see the reason as to why we look to sell him. I feel like we should definitely keep him, given competition for Wan-Bissaka.
Do you think Ole will actually keep him, or do you think?
Looking at it now from the statement United released saying that Dallo's looking back into getting ready for training again. There hasn't been that many loan talks. So I feel like Ollie might keep him, and we'll see, because he's available, or he might be available for the Brentford game tomorrow. So we shall see.
Oh, that's interesting. We'll see. We'll see how that pans out for Diallo there. So on to the midfield. So there's been sort of rumors circulating in the last couple of weeks that Ole is planning on playing a more prominent formation of 4-3-3. So if that is the case going forward, where does that leave Bruno? Because I know Bruno, like if you look at his career, he played number 6 when he was at Udinese in Serie A. He played as a number 8 at Sporting Lisbon. So he can play different variations in the midfield. But I think it's quite obvious to say that his preferred position is as a number 10. And you get the best out of him, because I think we've spoken on your show before as well, where he's not great when it comes to ball possession. He loses the ball very quickly. His main asset is, threading that final ball and obviously converting penalties. That's why it's called Fernandez. But
That's put out there in there.
but if that is the actual situation where it will be a prominent 4-3-3 formation, where does that put Bruno? Do you think he'll be suited to playing a 4-3-3 formation, or will it need to be where it will depend on the opposition? So you might switch up to a 4-2-3-1. Where do you see Bruno's position going forward?
Honestly, I've always wanted to play Bruno and Pogba as 2 attacking 8s. So do you remember a couple seasons ago where City used to play that 4-3-3 and they used to have Silva and De Bruyne?
Yeah.
Because you see, everyone thinks like De Bruyne is a number 10. So if De Bruyne can do it, I feel like Bruno can as well.
Yeah.
So if we do play Bruno, because I feel like Bruno and Pogba link up well together, and those are 2 players you want further up in the pitch rather than collecting the ball from the centre backs. So I'm very happy for this 4-3-3 formation. I'm so tired of 4-2-3-1, because 4-2-3-1 means a McFred. So I'm very tired of McFred, as many United fans are. But the only issue is that now this next signing is who's going to be that DM, who's going to be that number 6 to sit behind Bruno and Pogba. People we're linked with right now, people might say it's Camavinga, people might say it's Neves. Apparently getting linked with Saul Niguez from Atletico. I'm not sure. If it had to be me picking, I wouldn't buy Camavinga. I feel like he can play that role. Okay. I know he doesn't play as a sole number 6 for Rennes, but I feel like if you look at the profile of the player, the type of player he is, he's a high energy player that he can. He has the most tackles in Ligue 1, right? Yeah. So if you put that player profile of him, of that guy that's going to be getting stuck in amongst it, and someone that can progressively pass the ball as well. Because unfortunately, Man United don't dominate games. So like, as much as United have won a lot of games last season, we don't dominate games like your City, your Liverpool. We don't have a lot of possession to just suffocate teams. We more get our goals in the counter attack and patterns of play. So this is our issue. We need to look at these players and feel like, if you're playing behind Bruno and Pogba, do I need you to the type of destroyer DM, or do I need you the type of orchestrator DM? So like, if we were City, I'd be like Ruben Neves, someone that can play the ball, step on the back 4, progress the ball. But I'm looking at it now, I feel like we need a mixture of both. I feel like I need a DM that can progressively pass the ball and break the lines from the defense to the midfield and so on and so forth. But I need someone that can screen the defense as well and protect the back 4, which is easier said than done, unfortunately. Yeah. Not everyone can be N'Golo Kante. So I feel like if I had to throw out names, some there, I know he's been linked with Chelsea right now already, on Chouameni. I think that's a name I can think of. But then again, he's only young. I'm just thinking of the potential.
Yeah.
And we need someone to slot in there now, because I don't want Fred or McTominay to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Neves has the legs. I feel like if Now, if we dominated possession and Bruno wasn't in particular, I know Bruno says that we should sign Neves apparently, but I'm just thinking of the amount of time that Bruno loses the ball. Is it worth getting a Ruben Neves type that is not really doesn't have the legs? Like, I feel like that if we play a midfield of Neves, Bruno, and Pogba, I feel like that midfield can get outrun.
Yeah.
So I feel like we need someone that can just like an Ndidi that can ball better than Ndidi, if that makes sense.
No, I get what you're saying.
If there's a player like that, then by all means, that's a perfect fit for United.
What would you think of Bissouma from Brighton? Would he fit that profile?
I don't think he would. The only reason is because I feel like Bissouma's more of a box-to-box rather than a lone six. I need the six to just sit in front of the back four. I feel like Bissouma will go more forward, and he can play in a pivot with Pogba, but that means 4-2-3-1, which I'm really tired of that formation. I'm not saying I wouldn't say I'm not having Bissouma at United, but I can't imagine Bissouma having the discipline to just sit in front of a back four, screen the defense, and just play the ball progressively. He likes to travel with the ball a bit, and he does. And there's more to his game than that.
Yeah,
I feel like we need someone that just knows their role, knows their game, like a Carrick kind of type, Carrick with legs. You know.
Yeah, I think looking at the squad after analysing the squad, I think a player like Ndidi would be fantastic. But the thing is, Ndidi would cost a lot of money. Leicester aren't no slouches. They will literally command top dollar for one of their star players. So, and United are spending so much at this stage as well. I'm not sure if they'll have the financial power to get another player for like 80 million, because that is probably the fee that they demand for as well. Exactly. So that's always a trick on. But I do think with United, that is the missing piece of the puzzle. I think if you were able to sign a top class DM, I think you can challenge for all kind of competitions, in my opinion. I think Varane and Sancho will speak about more detail later on. Fantastic signings, don't get me wrong. But I feel like it's the midfield battle. Like you said, you don't control games. So I feel like you need some sort of like a powerful player where his physicality will be possessed in sort of like defensive situations, but at the same time can pass the ball, can thread long balls across the pitch. So we'll see. We've got a few more weeks in terms of the transfer window, but I do feel like that is the sort of profile of a player I feel like United should be looking into. And you never know. We'll see how that goes going forward. But you mentioned Pogba earlier on. So a lot of rumors circulating that he hasn't agreed contract terms. He's stalling on his contract talks right now. Do you see him leaving the club, as he's strongly linked with PSG? And if so, how would you feel about him leaving?
I don't want him to leave. I feel like we'll regret it so much if he leaves. I don't want him to leave. I still feel like he's our most talented and best midfielder. I feel like we've done him. Listen, I'm a Paul Pogba stan. I'm not going to lie. So everything I'm going to say is going to be a bit biased. But I feel like we haven't done him right. We know. I feel like if you watch football and if you've ever played a certain type of football, you know how good Paul Pogba is. Yeah. And everyone's like, oh, but why does he do it for France? But then he can't do it because he's playing next to Kante in France. If you play next to better players and you play in a better team, you might just play better.
Yeah.
Not, like it's pretty simple math. It's pretty simple math. So honestly, like I wish. Well, this is the thing. We're showing intent with this transfer market so far. Varane and Sancho. Pogba. If I'm Pogba, I'll be like, okay, Varane, that's my boy. We won World Cup. We won a World Cup together, and I know the type of player he is. Another French-speaking dude. Let's get it going. If I play in a good midfield, why would I not want to stay? If we challenge for stuff next season, because it's not like Paul Pogba doesn't hate the club. It's just that when he came here, he expected to come back to United and start to win trophies. And what we've delivered to him is a Carling Cup and the Europa League at best.
Yeah. And
that was at the start that was his first season there. We haven't won anything since. So, and it's like, as much as I hate to say it, there's people like Matic that we signed Matic to like play with Pogba. Matic hasn't won a trophy at United yet. And I feel like Matic has been here for a minute now.
Yeah, he has.
Well, that was shocking to me when I heard that Matic looking for his first trophy at United. I was thinking, that's crazy. So the fact that we haven't won a trophy since then, if I was Pogba too, I've got to be weighing up my options right now. As much as the money is nice, I want to win stuff. I won a World Cup. Why haven't I won a Premier League yet? Why haven't I won thing? Do you know what I mean? He wants to win stuff. He wants to win the Champions League.
Yeah.
And you don't want to. You can't win a Champions League with McFred. Like, I'm just being honest. You can't. So I hope he stays. Ollie has even said that he's in his plans, and Ollie's always liked him. Ollie's always wanted to build his team around him. Yeah. So if Pogba sees the light and he sees the vision, and this is the thing, I don't mind him questioning United because Rooney done it back in 2010.
Yeah,
Rooney said we got rid of Ronaldo and signed Owen. Where's the ambition? And he threatened to leave. Rooney put in a transfer request. He did admit and say that's the worst mistake of his life. But back then, he questioned United because of the intent. You want to win. That's a player that's hungry and that wants to win. And that's a player I want on my team. I know, fair enough, no one's bigger than the club or whatever, blah, blah, blah. You're not bigger than my Man United. There's those type of fans. But sometimes you've got to look at a club and you've got to look at your situation and feel like, even like, not I'm better than this, but like, where are we going? What's the ambition for this club?
Yeah.
But one thing I do know, and one thing I've just heard, is that the players want to play for Ollie. Like everyone can see Ollie's man management. Apparently, Varane, the pool was United wages, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So Sancho said he wants to play for the club, wants to play for Ollie. Like these lot are built into his plan. So I hope he stays because I don't think we can replace Paul Pogba. Yeah. I don't think there's a player out there that has his skill set in that position. There isn't. I would like for someone to name me one. There isn't. So no one's not irreplaceable, but it's going to be very hard to replace him, and I don't know who would replace him with. So I don't think he goes this season because Ollie did say that he's looking forward to this season and he's looking to be a part of the plans. It's just whether he goes on a free next season. All he needs to do is just sign that contract. But if we make a couple good signings and we look like we're going for stuff, I don't see why he doesn't stay. I really don't.
Yeah, to be fair, I think at this stage of the sort of transfer window right now, Manchester United have been the club that have been a bit more ambitious in terms of the signings that they've done. So if Pogba's reviewing the club's ambition, I guess signing Varane and Sancho is perfect in that regard. So he'll be like, actually, do you know what? We are actually trying to mount serious challenge next year, because if they were signing low caliber type of players, then I'm sure he'll be quite adamant of leaving straight away. So it does depend on his sort of morale as well. Like, does he want to continue to play for Manchester United? Because when I see him play at Manchester United, he looks very frustrated for me in terms of how he plays. Like you said, when he plays for France, obviously he's going to play great because he's got N'Golo Kante next to him. And then when he was at Juventus, he had Pirlo protecting him from behind as well. So, you've got two elite players, probably like two best defensive midfielders in the last 20 years, playing alongside Pogba there. So obviously he will play a little bit better, like you mentioned earlier on. So I think this is the time where Pogba will need to decide. The PSG rumours, I'm not going to lie, they look quite strong to me. I think that would be the club that will fit him as well, being back to France, back in Paris, sort of playing with sort of like his mates, I guess, as well in terms of the squad. So don't get me wrong, it's an interesting one. For United, I think it would serve you better if you did have Pogba in the team. I know throughout the media, he gets such negative press where people are, he's like, he doesn't do anything, or, he hasn't done anything in the last few years. But we saw in the Euros how great of a player he is. He can play as a number 6 comfortably, can do a number 8, can be box to box. So it's just giving him that confidence, I think, that comes from the manager as well. Giving him that confidence that you are the man. You're the man of this team. Like, show us what you got, sort of thing. So we'll see how it goes with Pogba, but it's very interesting. We've got a couple of comments here. So we've got mental health guys saying, why did Manchester United give Ole that long of a contract? No elite clubs are trying to take Ole. It just seems like they put themselves into a corner. How do you feel about that comment there?
I agree. I know I won't name names, but a guy I work with came out on a guy I work with on TalkSport. He said that none of the 20 clubs would sign Ollie. But anyway, this is the same guy that said Hasenhüttl has a higher ceiling than Ollie. But anyway, I digress. 2024 is not that bad, right? We're already in 2021. Yeah. So that's what, this season, next, and the season after. And every time, like, what I've got to remember with people is when people have a contract, it's just barely anyone fulfills that whole contract, right?
Yeah.
If Ollie, especially with the signings we're making this season, it is low key title but not title, but a serious title challenge. Well, I don't know, because last season wasn't that bad of a serious title challenge. I'm not saying it went down to the wire, but we were top. We went to Anfield top 3 points ahead at one stage, right? So it's not like we weren't competing to an extent. It's just City went on that.
You guys were celebrating in January like you won the league, you know?
No. But it was the first time we won the league. It was the first time we were top of the league in a minute, right? So it felt good. But what I'm saying is that I get what mental health guy is saying in the sense that we kind of put ourselves in the corner. But I think we're just trying to trust the process. He's trying to build his team, and it takes time to build a team. Like, listen, if we do what Chelsea done and shoot Bambi and get rid of Ollie and bring in an elite manager, I won't complain. I won't complain. Because you can see that was Lampard's team, yeah? I don't want to tell, like, that was Lampard's team, and Tuchel just took that team and made them Champions League winners, which Lampard was never going to do. So I see the difference in between them type of managers and an elite manager. But there isn't any elite managers out there right now. So I have to stick with the process with Ollie. And he's got a season. I feel this is a big season for Ollie, because now he needs to deliver something. Because if you think about what Ollie's achieved so far, we get into semi-finals a lot, right? We had the season before this, we had 3-4 semi-finals he's lost. So it should be semi-finals minimum now. He's now got into a final. What Ollie needs to do is best everything he's done. And I said this on my podcast yesterday. He needs to best everything he's done this season. League-wise, he needs to go for it. We need to go first. We've got third. We've got second under Ollie. It's now first. Going second or third, that's not progress. So that's where he needs to be league-wise. We need to win a final, because we got to a final now. I know his thing, he's never got to a final. We got to one and we lost it. So now he needs to win a trophy. And with competitions, we go quite deep with Ollie anyway. So especially with all these signings we're making now, he needs to best it. And if he doesn't best it, don't be surprised if he goes. I'm not going to say like he's good. This season is make or break for him. But if he doesn't improve on what he's already done and there's no progress there, don't be surprised if he goes.
No, that's interesting there. You said there weren't any elite managers. So I always see the Zinedine Zidane's name linked to the club. Would you regard him as
I'll pay for Ollie's Uber if I'll drive it myself. But I doubt Zidane will come to United.
What about Allegri? Because Allegri hasn't been appointed yet, has he?
No, he hasn't. No, he's back at Juve.
He's back at Juve now. Fine, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because he was without a job for about a couple of years now. So.
But still, I wouldn't have taken him United. I think he's.
You wouldn't have? Okay.
Nah, I'm not trying to play 3-5-2 again, man. Like, that guy's just 3-5-2, and inshallah, like, I'm not trying to hear it.
Yeah.
Like, and I know he's a good manager, but Premier League's different gravy.
Yeah, and it's probably not the type of football you'd want to see at United as well.
Definitely not the type of football we want to see at United.
Yeah. So another midfielder I'd like to speak about is Van der Beek. Does this guy have a future at the club?
Yeah. Like, what's funny is that I watched now, don't take too much into this and don't take me out of context. I watched the comp of Van der Beek today. And like, obviously compilations are your best highlights. And then my compilation made me look like I could play for United. But I looked at this guy and there's a player in there, man. We saw with that Ajax, that Ajax crazy one Ajax had in the Champions League, and he was one of the star players. There's a player in there. We need to find his best position. I feel like he's very intelligent off the ball, and he likes these little flicks. Like, he got a couple of assists last season with these little flicks, these little dummies. Yeah. So he'll be there within the squad. He's back in training now. I kind of wish he played in the Euros just to get the game time, because he hasn't been starting, and he does seem to play well for Netherlands. But there's definitely a future in there. I don't see him leaving. I don't think he wants to leave. He wants to be there. And especially with this new formation, if we play 4-3-3, then perfect for him. Perfect.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think Van der Beek was just misused last year. I don't think Ole fancied him that much. So there'll be times where you did need a player from the bench who would kind of add that sort of attacking threat from a deeper position, but he just would never, place him in the team for whatever reason. I'm not sure, but I've watched him for a long time at Ajax. Big fan of it. So when you guys signed him last year, I was quite impressed with that signing. It wasn't a big transfer fee as well at the same time. So I think he's definitely a player that if you use him correctly, he will provide the rewards. And I think he'll get a lot of goals and assists as well. So depends on Ole's stance regarding him as a player. For his sake, I hope he does actually play games. But yeah, we'll kind of see how Van der Beek's season goes for United going forward. So we can move on to attack. So you've got your man finally after years of negotiation and back and forth. How do you feel about signing Sancho finally?
It's mad. I was watching his interview the other day and I haven't deeped it. Like, he's actually a United player now. Like, week in, week out, he's had the opportunity to play for United. And this is a great signing, man. He's going to bring that excitement back to Old Trafford of just, I'm a winger, one-on-one. I'm going to take you on. And he gets, like, he's a walking double-double.
Yeah.
Like, United scored a lot of goals last season. We scored the most goals since 2006, 2007. So that's when we won the league the first time. When we done the three-peat, that was the first year of the three-peat with, like, Ronaldo and Rooney, just before Tevez was there. And we scored a lot of goals last season. So now we're adding someone that can get you 20 goals, 10 assists, or even 20 at one stage. He done that 2 seasons ago. It only gets better from here. And finally, we've actually solved our right wing problem. So do you know who I feel like is going to benefit from Sancho the most if once he plays on the right wing? Is Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Because Aaron Wan-Bissaka was our only really attacking option coming down the right. We used to play Greenwood in there, but he would drift into the middle because he's a striker. And we're now going to see Greenwood play more centrally. So I feel like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, because now we're not going to get onto him going attacking wise because he's not going to be on the ball that often coming down the wing. So I feel like Aaron Wan-Bissaka is really going to benefit from that. And it's a great signing. It's a great signing. We know what he's done at Dortmund. We can see he's a very good player. And I'm just happy because now we've got 2 elite wingers in Rashford on the left, Sancho on the right. It's all coming together. It's all coming together.
Do you think the club still needs to sign a striker? So I know I don't think there's a lot of truth, but there's links with Kane to United. Do you ever see that happening? And is he the sort of right player you'd want to go for?
The striker, we will. I don't want to say mark my words. I don't want to sound like an idiot, but United will sign a striker next summer.
Okay,
that was the long-term plan. It was the right winger, the centre back, the DM this year, striker next summer. The people that have inside knowledge into United think that striker is going to be Haaland. That was United's plan, was to sign Haaland with that negotiation, with that clause. Because Haaland's not going. He's not leaving. He's not going to Chelsea this season. I can put money on that. He's not.
All right, I'm gonna clip this.
Yeah, clip that. Because Dortmund won't sell Haaland and Sancho in the same window. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Dortmund won't sell him, and they don't need to sell him this year. Like Dortmund could say, you know what, I don't need to sell him, but if you pay 185 mil, then I might consider it. But but Chelsea are not going to do that. And as much as Chelsea will probably try and pay 130, Dortmund have all the bragging rights. They don't need to do it. The same way Dortmund didn't sell Sancho to us last season. They can do the exact same thing with Haaland and more. And at least Haaland has a negotiation. It's a clause. So next season, he's going, right?
Yeah.
Anyone can activate that clause and he gets the pick. So, and that was the plan because Alexander Isak is going to come back to Dortmund when
is that official?
Yeah. So
okay.
So that loan was only there until
because he had a buyback clause, didn't he?
He had a buyback clause, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to go back. So that basically, that's why Dortmund are a smart club. They know what they're doing. They know Haaland's going to leave in 2022. They can bring back Isak. So that was always in Dortmund's plan. Now, I know some United fans are looking, because even Samuel Lockhurst, who's a nice guy, but take it as you will, sometimes he knows his stuff about United, sometimes he doesn't. He did say that United's next season, the priority is a striker. Because Cavani leaves next season, we're only going to have Greenwood, and if Martial stays, who knows? So that's the plan. Whether it's Haaland, I don't know. I'll love it, because, who's the person that gave Haaland his professional debut? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So there's both Norwegian guys, like there's rapport there as well.
Connection.
Yeah, no, there's connections there. Sancho might text him and be like, we just won the league, bro. Come, let's go in the Champions League. No, you know what I mean. It's
So
only,
pushing it now.
yeah. No, I'm mocking it, but I feel like United won't sign a striker this season. We've got Cavani, Martial, Greenwood. We're fine for this season. It'll be next season when Cavani goes, and we'll just have Martial or Greenwood, or just Greenwood and someone else. And then that's where we will try to sign a top class striker.
Yeah, I think next year is going to be interesting because I feel like any club can kind of vouch for Haaland to be in their team.
Well, we've got 60 million. That's what you got to pay, and you can speak to him. So anyone can do that. If Arsenal want to do it, they could. Doesn't mean he will go to Arsenal, but they can visually be in the race. Yeah,
exactly. But I don't know, because with Chelsea, like I think if they were to offer a ridiculous price, which we can look at the history as well. Chelsea do offer ridiculous money for players. Like they bought Torres of Liverpool, where he was on the decline, and they paid 50 million, which at that time was a ridiculous price as well. Yeah. And we took that with open arms. So I don't know. I don't think he would leave personally in the summer, but you never know. It might be just one of those things where it could go that way. But yeah, Haaland next season, I think will be interesting to see like which club sort of goes for him in the end. Martial, you mentioned him. What do you expect from him this season? Because he's sort of become the unforgotten person, in my opinion.
It's a make or break for Martial. It's his 5th or 6th season now at United. And unfortunately with Martial, he didn't have the greatest of seasons last season, only 4 Premier League goals, and then he got injured. So you can't score when you're injured. You can't score when you're not playing. Yeah. But we've got to remember the season before that, he was our top goal scorer. And that was a season he played us out and out number 9. He was our top goal scorer. Cavani's not going to start. I feel like we're in a good situation because Cavani's still a good striker. But with his age, he's not going to start each and every game. So I feel like Martial's still going to kind of in theory being the main man when he's fit. And it depends on Cavani and Martial who's firing at the time. But competition's good. But this is make or break for Martial because he's 25 now. Yeah. You've been here for 6 years and you've had your first season as a striker was good. Then you've had some off seasons playing off the left. Now we put you back as a striker. You had another good season. You've only had 2 good seasons, maybe tops. So it's make or break for Anthony Martial this season. But I feel like with Rashford and Sancho, if he's fully fit and firing, we know what he's capable of. You've seen him. Like even he didn't have a good season, but his best performance this season was City away, and didn't get a goal. Should have scored at City away, but missed a sitter. But just the way his hold up play, just doing all this stuff. When a striker has a good game without scoring. Yeah. And it was one of those ones. And you like to do that at City, there's a player in there, right? And when he's on his day, there's a player in there. So, but he just needs to be that guy week in, week out. But unfortunately for United, you need to be that guy week in, week out. You need to be that 30 goal season striker. Whether he can do that or not, I don't know. But we'll see the season. He has no choice. It's make or break for him.
Looking from the outside, I find him a bit of a frustrating player because he'll get into that rhythm and then he'll get injured, or for some reason he goes a bit off form. And then sometimes see him playing up front, you're like, oh, he's good. And you see him on the left wing and it's like, you don't know what his role is. Like, I'm not sure how you feel. What is his best position? Because I think managers over the years have tried to play him as a left wing. It worked to some extent, but then people say, oh, he's not as clinical from the left. And then when he plays in the middle, he's clinical, but he doesn't offer much regarding build-up play and stuff like that. So where does he stand in terms of what you think is his position?
I think his position's up front because I feel like Rashford has kind of solidified that left wing position because Rashford can't play up front. So Rashford has solidified that left wing position. This is the thing. He started when he first came here when he was 19, when he spun Van Dijk. When he was 19 and spun Van Dijk. Right. He was doing that up front. He was a striker in his first position when he was 19. And then Mourinho came up to the left a bit, was playing off the left. And he was doing all right, but his first season again under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Ole Gunnar was like, okay, I'm going to play you up front. And then again had his best season. So I feel like up front, as a central striker, is his best position. He didn't have the greatest of seasons last season. Like, he was quite poor, in all honesty. He did miss a lot of chances and didn't have the best of seasons. But I feel like he can't have that season again.
Yeah.
Like last season was a bit of an anomaly.
Do you think this season Greenwood will be playing up front a bit more with the
Yes.
inclusion of Sancho.
Yeah. So now that, because Greenwood was playing off the right because he's predominantly left-footed, even though he's both footed.
Yeah.
He could cut in and shoot. But we all know Mason Greenwood's destiny is to be United's forward for years to come, and he's a central striker. So now that we've kind of got that right wing solidified with Sancho and Ahmad now, we can now transition Greenwood in more centrally and just say, all right, bro, focus on the center. You don't need to drift off to the right anymore. And in preseason, we've been starting to do that as well. We're just telling him to play up front from now on.
How long is Martial's contract until the club? Do you know?
I'm not too sure. I know he signed a new deal to like 2025, I want to say.
Okay, so he's on a long-term contract.
Yeah.
So let me put it to you like this, because after analyzing the squad, I feel like I don't think he'll get much game time, if I'm honest with you, Martial. Would you take this season as an opportunity to kind of ship him to a different club? Because this will be probably the season where you might get a level of transfer fee that maybe next year you wouldn't, because he hasn't played that much, for example. Would that sort of ever come into your head of thinking, oh, do you know what, selling Martial wouldn't be a bad shout right now?
Only reason I'll say no is because of the season he just had.
Okay.
His stock isn't high right now.
Yeah.
So if I could either raise his, whether what happened in the season, his stock could either get worse, or actually I don't even think it'd get worse, because he did have a bad season and then he was injured for the majority of it. So yeah, selling him isn't really the option right now. And Cavani's 34, going to be 35 in this season. He's not going to play week in, week out. We're not going to manage him like that. So that's where Martial steps in. And if he takes his chance, he'll be starting. If he takes a chance, he'll be starting more than Cavani.
Who would you place as your number 9 striker? Who's your main striker starting the season? Who would you place?
Martial. Only not because I think Martial's better than Cavani, just because I feel like looking at the profile of Rashford, Martial, Sancho, I would rather Martial start, and if it's not working, Cavani come on.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Do you know what I mean? I feel like build up to these Martial, Rashford, Sancho, that brings, because they've all got that kind of pace to run in behind as well, which Cavani doesn't. Well, Cavani has the movement to do it, but he doesn't have the pace anymore. So I would rather start Martial and then bring on Cavani than start Cavani and then bring on Martial, if that makes sense. No,
that's fair enough. Speaking of attackers, there's another attacker that I've been impressed with that you signed in January was Amad Diallo. Yeah. What are your expectations of him for next season?
I like him. I like, from what I've seen, and I watched his highlights of the Olympics as well. I like him, man. He's already scored against Donnarumma, which was kind of weird. Scored a header against Donnarumma. Like, it's actually mad when you think about it. That's his only goal he made. And then he got an assist against Leicester as well.
Yeah.
I like his close control. I can kind of see in him as not a I'm going to take you on winger, but more of that winger that creates, kind of like a Di Maria, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you know how Di Maria plays now? Like, he's coming off the right. He gets a lot of assists, and he knows how to put in a ball. Like, I remember that game again against Leicester. He put in a great ball for Dan James, and Dan James obviously missed the sitter. But I was thinking, like, this guy can actually, like, as much as he's got the pace and the dribbling skills, like, this guy can find a pass as well. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we ever decide to play 4-2-3-1. I'm not going to say he can. I feel like he can play 10. He has the attributes to kind of do that. You know those 10s that are on the wing?
Yeah.
Kind of like how James Rodriguez used to play in Porto back in the day.
Yeah.
That's the kind of profile I see of Ahmad. And I'm excited because he's not going to start for us. We've now got Sancho in that position. But he needs to be definitely be in his squad. The kid's only, 19? 18, 19. So he's got the world at his hands and the world at his feet. So I'm excited.
From what I've seen, I think I watched quite a bit of sort of like highlights of him, like playing for your reserve team and for his previous club as well. For me, what's impressive about him is that at such a young age, he's got great end product as well. So like you said, the passing. But for me, he's got an eye for goal as well, which is not what you see for a 19-year-old winger where he scores very clinical goals. I know you mentioned the header against Donnarumma there, but for previous matches that he's played, he can actually score a lot of goals as well, and different types of goals outside of the box, clinical in front of like one-on-one against the goalkeeper. So yeah, if I was a United fan, I'd be quite excited as well. So definitely I feel like you're quite well stocked in the attacking area. So you've got quite a good balance, which will be quite interesting to see. So players, you've got a lot of players. Like I said, you're stocked in attack, but you've got quite a number of players within the squad as well. So if you were Ole, I'm just going to give you some names and you tell me if you would sell them or would you keep them at the club. So Phil Jones.
So
Yourself. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Tellez, I think we've discussed Tellez. I think we can't sell it. Yeah. Couldn't say it. Williams, would you think he needs a loan?
He's going loan to Southampton, Williams.
Oh, okay, fine. Is that official or is that the talk?
It's looking. They're trying to work out the fee and all that, but it's looking likely that he'll play Southampton.
Daniel James,
I would sell him.
You would sell him.
I don't think we need him. Wouldn't mind him. I would keep him there just in case. Yeah. Keep him there for another season, but I wouldn't mind selling him. Like I won't cry.
I hope not. One matter?
Well, I would have said sell because his contract ended, but we gave him another year, so he's staying now. And he's still a baller. Teach the kids, become an ambassador, become a coach. I don't know. You know, they're ambassadorial. He's got that ambassadorial contract, so you know.
Oh, okay. Fine, fair enough. So you had a few loan players as well that had a good season. So Diallo had a good season at AC Milan. So we touched on him earlier on. So I think you'd like him to stay at the club or challenge for a position at the club. What about Pereira? Would you want him back at the team, or would you think a move elsewhere?
Only because that's my guy and my screensaver, and I've had my stock with him for so many years. But honestly, every United fan would say sell him, and I would only keep him because he's my guy. But other than that, like unfortunately, I just don't know what his best position is anymore, and it's a shame because he was a 10. And then Mourinho kind of played him in that 6 role. And then now that's just been imprinted in his brain that I'm a 6. And I feel like I need to play in a 6. And it's just like, I'm trying to watch him in pre-season. And he shows glimpses of, you know what, the player that we once thought for our reserve team is there. But I just don't think you can cut it at the United level, unfortunately.
No, that's fair enough. And Jesse Lingard?
It depends. If to buy a top DM, if we need to sell, then Lingard can go.
Yeah.
It's like, have you ever watched The Avengers? Have you ever watched the into Marvel?
Yeah.
Cool. So you know when they have to get the Soul Stone, right?
Yeah.
It's that thing. So imagine our DM is the Soul Stone and we need to and Jesse Lingard is Black Widow.
Yeah.
Or when Thanos done that to Gamora. It's kind of that situation.
Yeah.
If we need to get that, whatever it takes, sorry, little one, you have to go. But if not, I would keep him right now. He's been looking good at pre-season. He's been looking like the West Ham Lingard in pre-season. And his boys are Rashford, Sancho. Why not for the vibes? You know what I mean? And also, it's a good option or coming off the bench. If he doesn't mind a role to come off the bench and be an impact player off the bench, then by all means, I'm here for it. If not, and if he wants to go and play football, which I totally get, you're 28, you need to go be playing week in, week out, then he can go.
Yeah. I think if I was Lingard's agent, I'd probably tell him to leave. I think the way he played at West Ham, I feel like he needed that sort of break away from United, where I think maybe just leaving the city in general due to like personal issues that he's had over the years gave him kind of like a fresh start as well. So he played with a different kind of mind frame, and I feel like he just looked like a different player at West Ham. So I think for his career-wise, it might make sense for him to play elsewhere. But because he's a United guy as well, like he might still be happy to be a squad player. So
yeah,
you never know. We'll see how that goes for Lingard going forward. But let's play a bit of fantasy football now. If I could say to you, Tony, that you're the manager of Manchester United, you can sign any 3 players in world football, who would it be?
3 right now.
Yeah, so unlimited budget players that you think that you can add to the squad that will actually improve the team as well, not just for the sake of having names, for example. So I think a DM would be quite obvious. So who would be your
yeah.
dream DM?
I don't want to say Tchouaméni because he's not a dream DM. I would say,
but it doesn't have to be the player that everyone kind of goes for. It can be a player that you think, you know what, if we signed him, he'd be amazing. So it could be that sort of player. So if you feel like he's the guy, that could be your pick.
it'll be Kante, only because I just know what I'm getting with Kante.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say Kante is my dream signing, but I just know for that role that I want, if I could put anyone in the role right now who would do that role to a T, it'll be Kante. So I'll put Kante in there. Yeah. Next, Haaland.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
And then, last but not least, Mbappe.
Yeah.
Because I just, if it's my dream, I'll just bun Rashford, play Mbappe, Haaland. I mean, Mbappe, Haaland, Sancho, that'll be calm. I won't complain.
Yeah. Because I was asked this question last week on my previous show, and then I literally went for Mbappe as well, Haaland.
Yeah. You've got to.
Yeah, those two. If we're talking Dreamland as well, why not? You know what I mean? Yeah. And I went for Goretzka.
We were linked with Leon Goretzka, you know. I just know he wants a new contract, so that's why we're linked with him. But I've liked Leon Goretzka since his Schalke days.
Yeah.
But I just don't see, like, let's say if he comes to United, massive if. I just don't see where we fit him. I don't think he can play that 6 role.
No. I think if he were to sell Pogba, for example, I think he'd be the great fit to replace him. I know you can't get him like for like. It's quite difficult to find a player like Pogba, but you kind of have to go. Yeah, you have to go different in terms of the next profile player that you need. I think he'd be great. And for me, because of his contract situation right now, I'm concerned that a Man City might go for him because he'd be great. Can you imagine De Bruyne and Goretzka in the same team?
Don't. Just,
yeah, so let me not put that energy. Let me not put that energy out there.
Yeah, don't put that energy out
there. Because for me, that's the guy where I feel like he could come to any Premier League team right now and make a big difference. Like make it from top 4 challenges to league title winners. That's the kind of level that I see Goretzka at. So yeah, let's hope it's not at Man City, but you never know. But that pretty much wraps us up for today. So thank you for tuning in, guys. If you're new to the channel, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Tony, let everyone know how to follow you and your channel as well.
First of all, Ozzie, thank you so much for having me. I really did have fun. Yeah, you can follow me on a lot of things. My Twitter or Instagram at TONI, Tony Afoke, TONI AFOKE. You can catch me live on the Undiluted Football Media Show. I have my own platform as well called The Zone at The Zone LDN on Twitter. You know, we just talk about football, basketball, American football, women's football, gaming, all of that kind of stuff. So, yeah, thank you so much for having me.
No problem at all. My pleasure, as always. And please, guys, don't forget to follow Undiluted Media as well. Great channel. I've done a few collabs with them as well. Great people there. So make sure you follow them on all the socials and make sure you follow them on YouTube as well. But yeah, thank you guys, and we shall see you very soon. Take care.